Well, good afternoon, teachers. Good afternoon, regional advisors. Can you hear us? Yes.
Let's see.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure for us to start this series of video conferences that have the purpose of enhancing the implementation of the English reform as well as your professional development. I have the pleasure to have a group of collaborators for this process that is being done in alliance and support of the United States Embassy. So I will begin, I will let my partners introduce themselves as part of the structure of this video conference, which is about how to connect with students and parents through screencasting. You are going to learn about how to use this tool. We are going to have the specialist, which is Samantha Parkes, and she will be working with an elementary school teacher, Jonnathan Elizondo, and a high school teacher, which is Shirley Duarte. So I will let Mary Scholl, which is the person that has been coordinating the workshops, to begin introducing herself and talking a little bit about how this workshop will run.
Thank you, Anna. Oh, and this camera's here. Good. Hi, everybody. Can you all wave if you can hear us? Koto, can you wave? All right. Where else is it? Santa Cruz? Can you guys wave? All right. Turrialba. Alajuela. Liberia. All right. Great to see you guys. What is CF San?
No idea.
All right. San Jose. Punta Arenas. Hello, Punta Arenas. Okay, great. Sarapiquí. You see you there. Cañas. Cartago. We don't have anybody in Cartago. What's Forma? I don't know that other one. Well, it's great to see you all. Thank you so much. My name is Mary Scholl. I work at Centro Espermaná. I also work, we work with the U.S. Embassy, and these webinars are being sponsored by the U.S. Embassy. We'll have a series of 3 webinars today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. And we're really excited to be able to do this work with the Ministry of Education and also with Samantha Parkes. So I think what we're going to do is just go down the row and we'll let each person introduce themselves.
So, hello everybody. My name is Jonnathan Elizondo, and I'm a teacher in Escuela Central San Sebastián. So it's a pleasure for me to be here with you today, and I hope we all will learn about it.
Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Parkes. I am a teacher and teacher trainer from the United States, but I have taught in Moldova, Nicaragua, and now in Costa Rica, and I'm really happy to be sharing with you such an informative and unique format. I hope you enjoy using Mentimeter and also screencasting.
Hello, my name is Shirley Duarte, and I am from Liceo Santo Domingo, and I am happy to be here too. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yaudy Ramirez, and I think everybody knows me. I am a national advisor for first and second cycle, and it's a pleasure for us to have all of you here. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. So,
No, go ahead, Mary.
what we're going to do today is Samantha is our facilitator, and Shirley and Jonnathan are also going to be participating mostly in the conversation, and sometimes Yaudy and Anna and I will also share a few words. But Samantha will be our main presenter today. Thank you for coming, Samantha.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Anna, was there something you wanted to add?
No, I just want to let teachers know that Samantha will be working with you for around an hour and 25-30 minutes, and then after that you will have a space for questions. So you will have around 15 minutes. So if there is something that you would like to ask Samantha, or you would like to ask us at the end of this workshop, feel free to do it. Write your questions, they will be welcome, and then we'll wrap up the session.
So now you'll be able to see our slides that we're using. You should be able to see this. Can everybody see the slide? If you can see the slide, raise your hand up high and wave it back and forth really high. If you can see it. Can you see it okay? We're looking at very small pictures of you all. You look great. Okay, so we've introduced ourselves, and we did mention that these webinars are funded by the U.S. Embassy, organized by the Ministry of Public Education in collaboration with Centro Espermana. The slides that we're using today will be online on our website, and we'll also probably post them on Facebook and other places. So if you want to find them again because you want to reference them, you should be able to find us. So the first thing we're going to ask you to do is take out your cell phones and connect to the internet and go to menti.com, menti.com. We are going to be using this resource. Something's going on with Sam's phone.
Is it my phone?
Yeah.
He's plugged into the
Yeah, we'll figure that out later. So we need you to go to menti.com, and when you're in there, can you just give us a thumbs up or a heart or a question mark or a thumbs down? Let us know that you're here online. If you cannot get onto this, don't worry. You can look on with a peer. You can also do this webinar without getting onto Mentimeter, but Mentimeter is going to help us interact with you all more. So we're really excited about it. 25, 26. Look, that's great. We got lots of people on.
Yes.
Sam, while we're waiting, you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I am from Kansas, which is, if you don't know, right in the middle of the United States. I have a bachelor's in English and music and a master's in English composition from the University of Kansas and a master's in TESOL from American University. My first experience teaching ESL or EFL was as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Republic of Moldova in Eastern Europe, which was a fabulous and wonderful experience. And since then, I have taught mostly adults, university level or community ed, but all levels from no English up through master's degree level of English. So that is a little bit about my experience and why we wanted to invite elementary, primary school, and high school teachers to also participate to give their unique perspectives on how these tools can be used with their students. Screencasting is a relatively new technology, and so those of us who are using it are on the cutting edge of our field. And I think it's really important to mention that if you take a video of a student, especially a child, someone who is under 18 years of age, you need to make sure that you get their parents' permission first. And we have a permission form in our resources folder that we are going to share with you that you can adapt for your setting and for your assignments.
Well, it looks like we at least have 150 some odd responses, which could be people doing more than one, but let's keep moving because I think a lot of you are connected. And remember, if it doesn't work, breathe, relax, and come back to it. It's really okay. You'll be able to get a lot out of the webinar just by watching it, but we're really looking forward to interacting with you as well. So, moving forward, we're going to practice using Mentimeter. So, where are you from? Please answer the question on your Mentimeter. San Jose, Alajuela.
There's a couple people from outside Costa Rica. Me and one other person.
Right. Who else is from outside Costa Rica? Great.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, we got one from Limon.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Great. Well, it's exciting to see where you all are from. And I hope that you're excited seeing the flags go up. It looks like we've got most of a good number from San Jose, but from all the other provinces as well. It's exciting.
I know.
Some more people from outside of Costa Rica.
It's very interesting.
Great. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to move forward. Next question. How are you feeling right now? This is just a practice, and we also kind of want to know. Are you happy? Are you sleepy? Are you angry? Are you extremely happy? Are you thinking about money? I guess that last one is. That was in the right. So you'll see the answers here are slightly different. They're giving us percentages instead of the numbers. You can set Mentimeter to tell whether you want the percentages or the numbers. Well, good to see that many of you are happy, and that'll be carrying us. Yep. Sorry about the people that are sleepy. I hope that we can keep you awake and excited with these screencasting. I think it's incredibly exciting. So we hope that'll wake you up some. And for those that are angry or frustrated, you have our empathy. You have our empathy. And whoever has that money, if you have money you want to share with us, please share. All right, next question. What is your experience with Mentimeter, with this software? Have you never used it? Have you used it or seen it a few times? Or is it easy for you? Great. So it looks like this will be something that's a new technology. You guys, it's really easy to use Mentimeter. I've just started using it this year, and I love it because I get to find out a lot about you all. And it helps me interact in a very different way with people. And I'm also glad that people have seen it before, used it a few times, and that for some people it's easy. That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, we're going to move forward to, what is your experience with technology? And this is to find out about us. How many use it in our personal lives? Do we use it with colleagues? Do we use it with students? Do our students use it? And when you think of the word technology, what does that mean to you? Sam, what do you think about with it?
I mean, that could be anything. Using your cell phone to communicate with your students, using your computer to receive assignments, using whatever technology is available to you in your classroom, cameras, recording devices, televisions, anything else I can think of. Maybe you have a doc cam or a projector.
Well, it's interesting that at the beginning, when we thought about technology, actually the whiteboard or the blackboard was technology.
Yes.
Because that's a tool you use to communicate or to serve certain purposes.
Yeah.
So now when we think of technology, we think about electrical and electricity, right?
Right.
But, a board can be technology.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So this is nice. It's interesting to see that the people seem to use it more in their personal lives than in their professional lives. Oh, and I see a typo. I apologize. That's me. Technologoi. Sorry about that. It's amazing how many times you can do a draft and still miss things. I'm human. I hope you guys are human too. But interesting to see that we use it more in our personal lives. And that it looks like our students use it less outside the classroom than we do. Okay. How motivated are you to learn about screencasting today? Oh, that's good. Starting with pink and green. Somewhat motivated. It's okay if you're not motivated. Okay. It's all okay. Interesting. That's so interesting to see, isn't it? No. So
I think that the thing about using technology is, for me personally, I only use technology in my classroom that makes my life easier. I am not a naturally gifted person with technology. It's not my forte. I'm not a digital native because I'm a little older. And any technology that I use has to serve me. I don't serve the technology. So, which is to say, as presenting screencasting, when I learned about screencasting 2 years ago, I thought this is going to really make my life easier and make a better experience for my students. So for those of you who are motivated or somewhat motivated, we're not trying to put a burden on you. We're trying to share with you something that we have felt.
And I want to just share that this question for me is really important as a teacher, because my students aren't always motivated to learn what I have to offer them or what I'm supposed to offer them. And so I think at least acknowledging that maybe some people who are not motivated in the moment, say it's okay. It's obvious it's your way of, it's how you're feeling right now. And that's okay. And I hope that our motivated people and really motivated people will probably be infectious and share that motivation. We'll see. All right, thank you. So now we want to find out about your experience with screencasting, and then we're going to dive in. So what is your experience with screencasting? Awesome. So we got a lot of people that are excited to learn something new.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's one person, a couple of people who said, I've created a screencast but not used it in class. And maybe this will give you some ideas on different ways that you can use a screencast in your class. If you haven't, you've made them and you're familiar with the technology and what it's capable of. And this will help you maybe get some ideas of ways that you could use it in your class. But it's interesting, there are quite a few people who have seen screencasts but not created or used them. And maybe they will get a little bit more clarity on how to use them or how to approach it from me as a panelist.
I think personally this might be because they feel it's very difficult or elaborate, or because that was the idea I had when I actually saw screencast the first time. It might be very difficult, very complicated, but once you see how easy it is, it's a totally different way.
And like with any new thing, there's a little bit of a learning curve, obviously. And with working with technology, you have to have patience and flexibility. Those are the two most, and most teachers have patience and flexibility, so that's good. But those are two of the most important factors. You don't have to be a techno guru or someone who's really intuitively good with computers or machines to be able to use a technology like screencasting.
Yeah. Great. All right.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our goals for today. Our number one goal is to define screencasting for those of you who are not familiar with it. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time showing examples and uses. So these are going to be examples, some from my colleagues at the University of Miami, where I first learned how to use screencasting. Jonnathan has an example, and Shirley has an example. So we're going to hopefully show you what it is capable of, and we have an example of how to actually make a screencast of a screencast. And then, of course, we're going to discuss our pedagogical best practices. We want to be careful every time we use a new technology that we're using it to the benefit of our students, not to the detriment of our students. And then we're going to discuss, finally, the benefits and challenges. So what are things that we have come across that we find to be really helpful and things to be aware of. And then, of course, as Anna mentioned, we will have time to answer your questions. So here's a question for everybody. How often do you use technology to grade assignments? It seems like we normally just grade using a pen and paper, but have you used anything else besides a pen and paper? And I'm interested for the people who say sometimes, wonder what that could be. You sometimes using technology to grade assignments. Would that be like your students submit the assignment through a Google Drive and you can grade it using Google? Or your student submits an assignment through a phone and you can use the phone?
Well, in my case, I actually check sometimes, because when I have done it, I do it with Google Drive. That is the easiest way. So I grade it, I send them feedback on that, and of course I do that with teenagers and adults, not with children. That's a little bit more complicated, but that's the sometimes I have.
What do you think, Shirley?
Well, I think also by email.
Oh yes, of
Or
course.
even WhatsApp.
Yes, WhatsApp is super
Like
important.
you can record the audios and send them feedback like that, or just give them a written grade
Right.
after.
Yeah. I also want to acknowledge the people that are saying I'm afraid. That was me at one time, so I am with you, or I was with you.
I'm just gonna switch back because you guys are talking, so it'd be nicer.
Sure. But I think we're
Oh, you're done. Okay, let's switch back. All right. Although they can see this without us.
Not everybody.
Oh, not everybody.
So these are three important terms when we're talking about screencasting. So how familiar you are with the term feedback, voice over narration, or multimodal feedback? And I'm a little surprised that voice-over narration is getting more hits than multimodal feedback.
Yeah.
I feel like multimodal feedback is a kind of hot ticket term right now in TESOL.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's multimodal, differentiated, and things like that. But voice-over narration seems like the easiest thing to understand, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like we have about 250 people answering,
Yeah.
which is amazing and wonderful.
Yes,
And I
thank you,
imagine there's
thank
more
you,
people out
thank
there
you.
that aren't answering.
Thank you for
So-
answering and for participating.
So,
And
okay.
this is an interesting way to use the cell phones, you know, and
Yes.
internet and all that to interact
Yeah.
between the audience and the facilitator.
So these are a couple of definitions that I found from the literature on screencasting, which, as I mentioned before, it's a relatively new technology, so there's not that much written about it, and maybe that can be something that comes from this webinar. Maybe we can write something about it. But feedback is just another way of saying video feedback. That's from Thompson and Lee's article from 2012. And then another Thompson and Lee idea is digital recordings of the activity on one's computer screen accompanied by voice over narration. So you're making a video of what is on your computer and you can talk over it. And this one I like the best. Screencasting is a halfway house between handing a student back a written piece of work with comments and actually meeting with the student. So if in an ideal setting, it would be wonderful if every time we turned in an assignment, a student turned in an assignment, we could meet with them individually to give them individual conferences and individual time. But we often don't have time for that. And students often don't perceive the comments they receive on written feedback as personalized and important. They often don't read them or know how to read them. So a screencast is the middle of that. It's the halfway house between meeting in a conference and giving back a piece of paper. And it is, of course, multimodal, which allows for a wider range of individual learning styles and preferences and is more likely to provide a learning experience that students will find memorable. And I think that is key. So we're going to watch a couple of examples of screencasts. The first example is a screencast over a document, and Shirley's going to tell us about what she did for this.
Yes. Well, this was a written work that I had with the bilingual group from 8th grade, and they should create some sentences using coordinating conjunctions, for example, but, so, and, also, and so on. So let's look at the video.
Okay. I'm good there. Okay.
Hello, I'm going to give you some feedback about the coordinating conjunctions. The first one, the first sentence says, the footballer practices all month for he wants to win the match. This one is correct. Very good. Now, the second one says, Andres goes to the house park and poles. This one is also correct. The next one, she doesn't like to run nor swim. So the correct way to say it would be, she doesn't like to run, nor does she like to swim. The next one, he doesn't rice and beans, but he likes to fish. The correct way would be, he doesn't like to eat rice and beans, but he likes to eat fish. Now, the next one. Maria goes to cinemas or goes to beach. The correct way would be, Maria goes to the article the, cinema, or she goes to the article again, beach. The next one. He plays everyday soccer, yet he doesn't like this sport. The correct way will be, he plays soccer every day, yet he doesn't like this sport. Okay, now, the last one, you didn't know how to do it. This one is the conjunction so. This one is used to give the effect of an action. For example, I was very sick last week, comma. So I had to take some medication. See? And that will be it.
Okay.
So, what did you notice about this example? Anything?
Or what questions they have.
Oh, yeah. Should we write your feedback in a personalized way?
Sleepy. Somebody's sleepy.
Nice way to practice.
Nice way to practice.
Explanation.
Explanation to use the computer, use the video to explain grammar.
And just to let you all know, please don't worry about spelling mistakes here. This is a very interactive, low-stakes way for you to interact with us. And it's really okay. Whenever you write, we're going to try and figure it out.
Look at that one. Everything looks interesting and would be great to learn about it.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you all can see all these responses as well. I'm curious about the pattern. Somebody noticed a pattern.
So a lot of people are mentioning how quick and individualized. It's a quick and easy way to give feedback, and it's individualized feedback. And I thought this was a really good example of a video you could show your entire class. You could help all of your students with their coordinated conjunctions by showing them this video. or you can save it and only show it to the students or send it to the students that had particular problems.
I really like the comments about how you are seeing how to maximize the use of technology, because most of the students have access to the cell phones or have computers that they can use, and the teacher, can also through screencasting provide this feedback to the students, as we are doing now as well with Mentimeter. Something that I see in the feedback that you are providing is that there is too much grammar. It is important to clarify and contextualize this example that belongs to a bilingual school. So it is for an advanced level of English. The teacher was working with coordinated conjunctions with those students, but it depends, so you have to adapt it to the curriculum you are teaching, to the level you are teaching, to the type of school you are teaching. So you have to consider those aspects as well, in terms of the use of the tool.
I think as a student, when I think back, I would have appreciated my professor, my teacher giving me this individualized feedback. Yeah. That I usually just get a paper, mark down and saying this is right, this is wrong, and it doesn't tell me how to correct it. But this kind of thing is like, oh, she's telling me step by step how to do it. And even with the last example that the student said, I don't understand, she gives an explanation to the student. That's very important.
And I think one important thing to notice is this is a screencast over a document. So you can make a screencast over your student's essay if they type the essay and send it to you. You can make a screencast over any document that's on your computer. This is just one way of making the screencast.
Should we see another?
And we can see, yes, and we can see everything she typed, everything she circled, anything that she did in Microsoft Word, we could see it in addition to, so we had the visual feedback, in addition to the oral feedback from her voice. So that's the multimodal component. Yes, let's look at the next one. So this is a screencast over a video. This was made by my colleague Matthew Kaiser from the University of Miami. Matthew's job at the University of Miami is to train international teaching assistants. So foreign exchange students who are hired by Miami to teach classes such as math, and he helps them improve their English so their students who are American students can understand them better.
Hello, Chi-Ming. This is Matt. I'm going to comment on your video, and I'm going to offer some feedback on the things that you did well, and then some things that you can look to for improvement in the future. So here we go.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to introduce a quotient rule. Have you ever heard quotient rule before?
Okay, very nice introduction. You queried your audience. You asked them a question to see how much they understand. The only feedback I'd give you here is that I'm confused about your pronunciation. I'm not sure if you're saying question rule or quotient rule. Do you hear the difference? Question, quotient. And we can work on that in class. Now, the good thing is that you actually wrote it here on the board, as I instructed you to do. So if you have a problem word that you know gives you trouble, and you're not sure your students will understand it, always make sure you have it written out on a handout or on the board or on a PowerPoint slide, so that if you do mispronounce it or if it's not clear to your students, they'll see it, and that way they'll figure out what you mean.
Okay. We have a follow-up for this one?
Yep. Oh. Shoot. Hold on one second. I'll make it. Now you can see us working in the moment, you guys.
So Mary's going to write a question. What did you notice about this example? So the first example was a screencast over a written document. This is a screencast over a video.
So now you can see how easy it is to do this mentimeter. Present. All right. I guess I could have put a question mark there. Oh well. you can start working on, I think. Can you all see it?
Yes.
How amazing is that, huh?
It is.
It's almost as if I made a mistake on purpose so we could all learn together. Wow.
Sometimes they didn't get it as a
Didn't get it, not clear. Pronunciation. So when we say, what did you notice, it could also be, what questions do you have? What are you thinking about? So just a comment again. Her pronunciation was because she's from
China.
another country. She's from China. So, and he was giving her feedback on her pronunciation because she is going to be a teacher at a university in the United States. So that's exactly what she's working on. And so what I'm curious about, not only is if you thought her pronunciation was different or weird or hard to understand, what did you think about getting feedback from him in this format? Because that's what we're focusing on today, is this format of screencasting to give feedback. How was that?
I think as teachers we're always told that we need to balance, what do I want from my students, fluency or accuracy? Mm-hmm. So in this case, he didn't, like in class, he worried about fluency, but then later he's working in accuracy, without interrupting the student, without making her feel bad in front of the classmates. It's very one-on-one, right? So.
And oftentimes I notice when I'm getting feedback on an oral presentation, I can tell the student that they made an error, but the student, when they read the feedback a day or 2 or 3 later, doesn't remember what they said in the presentation. And so it's kind of like my word against theirs. And when I do a screencast of the presentation, I can pause the video exactly where the error occurs and give feedback right there without embarrassing the student. And they can see this was the error and here's the correction, and they are side by side.
And I want to provide some feedback to some of the feedback you are giving here when you say that it doesn't work for primary. And I want to tell you an anecdote and a project that some teachers are doing in the regional office of Guapiles for the mini project of the first unit of elementary school, first grade. They decided to do videos. So children were doing their own video all about me. And I think when we were watching the videos of kids doing their personal introductions at home, who they were, and I think that's this screencasting provides the teacher the opportunity to give feedback to the kids if the teacher wants, because based on that video, on that presentation, you can say, you did that great, that was wonderful, very positive, but I think it's a tool, as I said before, that could work at any level. The only thing that you need is to, of course, use it, try it. That is very important. And here you are having the chance to see, different ways in which you could adapt the tool.
Okay, let's go to our next example.
Okay.
This is Jonathan's example.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so what I did is I just learned about screencast a couple of months ago, and so I decided that I wanted to use it in my school. But then I wanted to start little by little. So I worked with this, my child, the one we're going to see. He is participating in the improv speech at the circuital level. He won in our school, and so I wanted to give him feedback. Of course, as Sam said before, I needed to ask for written permission from his mother, and all the consent form that you're going to see in the later on when you get the materials. And what was amazing for me is that I prepared this, well, he presented to the class, I took it home, I gave feedback, I sent it via WhatsApp to his mother, and then 2 or 3 days later, I get this message from his mother saying, well, Gabriel already saw the video many times, he prepared this new video for you in our house, and here it is. And all the errors I signal, like he using this is instead of his or she is, were actually corrected. And that was amazing for me to see the level of improvement in this new video that he sent. It involved parents, not only Gabriel, but also parents were involved in his education, and he was able to take responsibility for his own learning. So
And he was motivated.
he was very motivated, yeah.
And I want to add a comment as well to reinforce what Jonnathan is saying, that we also can think about learning accommodations. Sometimes we have kids who need more support and need the help of the parents. So we could use screencasting or take the most out of this in order to give extra feedback to those children and send that home so that they can see it many, many times, they can get extra practice, and the parents have as well the resource that you are providing through screencasting. So that's another possibility that you can explore.
Okay, let's see the video.
Hola Gabriel, ¿cómo estás? Bueno, después de la presentación que hiciste a tus compañeros para el impromptu speech que vamos a hacer, te voy a dar algunas recomendaciones y también te voy a comentar las cosas que hiciste súper bien. Entonces vamos a ir viendo la presentación y te voy contando.
Hello, my name is Gabriel. I am family.
Ok, cuando empezamos la presentación, muy bien que te presentes. Hello, I am Gabriel, o hello, my name is Gabriel. Recuerda que es importante siempre saludar, entonces antes de decir tu nombre, good morning o hello, good morning. Y luego, cuando vas a hablar de la familia, my topic is my family o my topic is family. Y luego ya empiezas a hablar de tu familia.
This is our father. This is our dog.
Okay, cuando presentas a tu papá, acuerda que es this is my father, porque es tu papá, ¿verdad? Es mi papá, entonces this is my father. Y cuando vamos a hablar todo lo que vayamos a decir del papá, vamos a decir he is o my father is, porque estamos hablando de un hombre, entonces acuerde que con un hombre decimos he is.
This is a dog. This is a baby. This is a man.
Muy bonita la presentación de tu papá, la palabra handsome, muy bien. Acuérdese que la pronunciación de heavy, he is heavy, ¿ok?
This is a mother. This is a male. This is a female.
Ok, con mother, this is my mother, and she is, ¿verdad? Con una mujer, acuerde que usamos she is o my mother is.
This is a Brady. This is a brother. This is a boy. This is a...
Acuérdate que cuando hablamos de brother, entonces sería his, ¿verdad? He is my brother, y luego he is tall o he is short, he is young, etc. ¿Ok? Y una cosa que estás haciendo muy bien es que cuando hablas de las personas, estás enseñando a cada una de las personas, las estás mostrando.
Yo, this is a thin, this is a handsome. I am Gabriel, I am 8 years old, I am small. I am from Costa Rica, I am a student. Thank you very much.
La presentación tuya, excelente, lo haces muy bien. Todas las cosas que dices, de dónde eres, I am from Costa Rica, I am a student, I am 8 years old, está muy bien hecho y muy bien que al final estés diciendo thank you very much para que la gente sepa que ya terminaste tu presentación. Así que te felicito, a seguir practicando y luego vamos a ver otros temas.
Okay, so here's our follow-up as always. What did you notice about this screencast that maybe was similar or different from the other two screencasts that we've seen?
And what questions or comments do you have? Yeah, and we're... Is that you? So Sally.
I want to emphasize that comment that says you can use a combination of Spanish and English. As I was trying to incorporate his mother and family in the process, I decided to do it both Spanish and English. I'm not going to be there so he can see my body language and helping him understand. So I wanted him to improve grammar, improve pronunciation, but then certain things I need to say in Spanish so everybody would understand it. And I think parents become more motivated also. As of, okay, let's look at this together, and then you can tell me these words, and I'm going to listen and see if they sound just like the teacher did or the teacher said.
Right, and as teachers know, and science has shown us that students whose parents are more involved in their education perform better and succeed. So I personally like the combination of using English and Spanish at the primary level especially to help include the parents in the conversation. But the feedback in English was very important feedback on his pronunciation and the things that he did well and can improve on.
There was another question there that said, what if parents do not agree or we can be involved in legal problems? I must say that I've done this a couple of times in which I record children for different purposes. If you explain to parents, I haven't found a parent that says, no, I don't agree. What you have to be clear in terms of the legal issues are that if you tell parents this is going to be used for you, me, and your child, that's just what the consent has to say, and you cannot use it for any other purposes. So in the purpose of this recording, I talked to his mother and told her, well, this is going to be used for feedback, but also we want to use it in a webinar. It will probably be in the MEP's website, and so everything is in the consent, and they signed, they agreed, and then if somebody uses it for different purposes, they are, the consent also says that they are, like I am not responsible for that. If somebody takes it from a recording and uses it with different purposes, they will have to get involved in whatever legal issues that is with that person and not me, because I used it for the purposes that I asked for. So that's very important that you are clear on the purposes.
Right, that it is for educational purposes, it's not for publication.
I also wanted to add, well, that was a wonderful example, the one that Jonnathan was presenting about how to do it. And that the fact that the feedback also is given partly in English and the other part in Spanish or mainly in Spanish, I think also deals with the level he's working with, right? That was for, I think, first or second grade. Second grade. So I think at that level, it is very valuable. It's not just developing their English competencies. So I think the feedback is more useful for the learner to be given in the native language than to be given in English, because probably the learner is not going to understand everything the teacher is going to say. And in the case of the parents, I think that parents also appreciate a lot that type of support because they can see the progress. Now we are having the opportunity to motivate parents, to involve parents, to see what we are doing in the classroom, and that what we are doing in the classroom is really enhancing the English proficiency of the learner. So I am so sure that mothers and fathers are going to be very happy if they receive evidence of what their children are doing in the classrooms and how they can improve and how can parents help them and give them follow-up. So I think this is another thing that you should give a try, right? So that we can improve feedback and the support of parents versus what you are doing in the classroom.
One thing I want to mention in response to some feedback, a lot of people, I see a number of comments about how do you do this with big groups, and it's time consuming. And I can think of a number of ways to do it with big groups. We don't have an example today, but we will come up with some examples for you because, for example, I could have a group of students say a few sentences in a row and I send the video back to the group of students. I also could make one video of feedback and send it to the whole class.
Kind of like Shirley. Shirley's could be good for the whole
right,
class.
Shirley's, exactly.
If you want to teach a little grammar point, or maybe you noticed several errors that many students were making, you could send a video to the whole class doing like that.
Also, I think this is not this is not complicated to make, and you're going to see it. So it's very natural. And then if I spend only 3 minutes on that feedback, and you have, what, 20 students, that's probably 1 hour of you working there a little bit to give feedback to everybody. So I don't think that's a lot of, like, really time consuming, because it's very easy, it's very natural.
And I think it depends on the kind of feedback that you give right now. So I primarily teach writing courses, and so I give a lot of feedback in writing, and it takes me a long time to write the feedback. And I noticed that if I could give a screencast, I can speak much faster than I can type. And I noticed that I was spending the same or less amount of time just saying my comments, and my students could get that multimodal feedback and practice their listening. And as well, it was something that my students really appreciated because it was very personalized. I think that we should move on to the example, because I think that might help clarify some things. Oh, we have a question first. Other ideas?
So what are some other ways you could use screencasts in your professional life?
I think I can share one idea that I already used. Actually, I took a couple of pictures from a video I was using with second grade, and maybe some of you have already seen it from my page. I just created a screencast telling my students, my second graders, about my daily routine. And for them, it was amazing to hear the teachers going on the TV. They were like, "Oh, teacher, you're famous. How do you do that? Is that?" And he called their attention, and that was very simple. So preparing materials for the whole class is also another way of doing it.
And one thing that we talk a lot about now in ESL is another hot button is flipped lessons or flipped learning and task-based learning. So you could use this in task-based learning. Your students could make a screencast of something else, and they could use that as a task. Or you could make a little screencast explaining how to do something. The students watch it at home, and then they come to school and they do it. And that's an example of flipped learning, like someone said, to provide clear instructions. The benefit is they can watch the video over and over and over.
So next is Snagit to watch how to do it.
Yes, okay. So this is a video of how to create a Snagit. Snagit is one of the many different screencasting software programs there are out there. This just happens to be the one that I prefer to use, and I have a clear video on how to use it. But many of the screencasting software programs, which are many of them free, use the same steps. So what I would like for you to do while you're watching this video is see if you can take notes and write down the steps that this person is taking in general to make a Snagit.
Today I'm going to quickly show you how to access Snagit and to make a very quick screencast using Snagit. To get the program, first you need to go to the website that produces it. The website is TechSmith. That's TechSmith. When you go to this website and click here, you'll see that TechSmith has a variety of different products. We are focused on Snagit. That's what we think is best for screencasting. So we're just going to click on that S. When you're on this page, the website gives you information about the features. It also tells you how to do it, but I'll just give you a quick way to do it now. And if you forget, you can always return to the TechSmith Snagit website. For today, we suggest that you do a free trial. There is pricing and you can buy it later, but it's nice that Snagit allows you time to play with it before you decide if it's right for you. So we're going to click on free trial. Now you have a choice of if you're doing it on a Windows computer or a Mac computer. Regardless of which one you choose, you have 15 days to have the full version. It's the complete version, but it's just a trial before you begin to pay if you decide to do so. It will ask you for an email address. I am not going to do this now because I already have it downloaded on my computer. Just simply follow the steps like you would for any other program you would download. Let's assume that you now have completed the download process and you have Snagit on your computer. I'm going to close our window here and show you what you want to do next. The first thing is you need to find where Snagit is located on your computer. If you don't know where it is or you don't see an icon, what you want to do is move down here to the bottom and search it. So just search your program files, SNAGIT, and it will come up over here. You can click there, and that's one way to access the program. If you'd rather go a different way, I can show you another way to get there. I just moved this to the top of my screen. Snagit should have this little bar here, up here. It might be difficult for you to see, but if I simply move over, it will pop down. So it will come right down like this, and you'll see a thing here. Again, I'll do it one more time. All I did was move my mouse, and it pops right down. You want to click on the big red button here. It says Start New Capture. When I click on this, you will see that I'm going to get a bit of a crosshair. So it looks like this, and it's asking me to choose what do I want to record. You do not need to record your entire screen. You can choose what space you want to record. So I'm going to drag it, and now I have the space that I want to record here. I want to make a video, so I'm going to click on the Capture Video button, but I want to know what am I capturing a video of. So first I want to close this, then I want to find a video. So now you know how to access it, but first we need to know what we're commenting on. I have a video here on my screen. I have it ready to go. It can be saved anywhere that you want on your computer. If I open the file, it's inside of the middle of the box. I'll create that box one more time for you. So I scroll over, click the red button, I select this area of the video, and I say I want to make a video. It counts down, so I know that I'm ready. As soon as you see the numbers down here start counting, it's currently recording my voice. You can also see that the microphone is moving, so I know that it's recording my voice. Now, if I were to want to watch the video, I simply go up to the regular window and press play. Then I want to pause the video and say something such as, that was a good introduction, be careful about the pronunciation of mother. And when I want to start again, I simply press play again. The thing that you need to remember is that this control is for this video. The control at the bottom is for your screencast. So if I want to think for a second before I make another comment for my student, I can press pause, and you will see that my time has stopped. So that allows me time to make some notes, think, and then I can restart my screencast. When you press the stop button, that's when you're completely finished. So let's say that I've finished now. I will click stop. Now I'll have a window that pops up that looks like this. We are now in the Snagit editor. I don't suggest you really do much with the editing. You can play with it if you would like to, but the most important thing you need to do here is to save the file. So go up to File, Save As, and you want to use a standard format. I'll do that one more time because this is important. It does not keep your files unless you save them appropriately. File, Save As, standard format. We would like it to be an MP4 file, and you can call it whatever you'd like. You can see I call these feedback videos feedback. This will save wherever you want on your computer, and you simply click Save. After that, this is a standard MP4 file, so it can be uploaded to anything you want, possibly to a content management system to show to your students or to something like Google Drive, so long as you have the approval from the students to upload the videos. Now this was just a very simple way to show you how to use Snagit. When you've finished with all of your saving, you just click the X, and you click the X, and you can start on the next video. If you are unsure of how to do anything on Snagit, their website is great. So remember TechSmith that we saw at the beginning. You can go back to Snagit, and you can find out more about resources if you don't understand, or anything else that you need to know. I hope this helped you learn a little bit about how to make a Snagit.
Okay, I'd like to say a couple of things about this screencast. First of all, I would like to give credit to my colleague from the University of Miami, Clarissa Moorhead, who made the Snagit of a Snagit. So thank you to her for letting us share. And I also would like to say that Snagit is not a free program. It has a free 15-day trial, and there are many programs that are free that you can download and use. And we have a sheet in the resources folder, which we'll show probably at the very end, that has a list of the free programs that you can download and use. We at the University of Miami prefer to use Snagit because it has unlimited capacity. So some of the other programs you can only make a Snagit or a video feedback screencast for 5 minutes, and we wanted to be able to make longer than 5 minutes. So that's why we preferred Snagit. But if you want something that is free, which one did you use, Jonnathan?
Well, for the video from Gabriel, I used it's QuickTime Player. So QuickTime Player also allows you to record the screen of your computer. And there's also another one we're going to see a little later that is Screencast-O-Matic.
Right.
And you download it for free. In the free version, you can use up to 15-minute videos. So I think it's pretty much like a long time for feedback or short lessons on your students.
One other thing I'd like to point out is Mentimeter didn't allow us to see the full video. There was some information that was cut off at the bottom and at the very top. So these videos are also going to be in the resources folders. You can watch them again on your computer, and you'll be able to see all the little details that she's mentioning.
So just a quick thing, we were talking to Mary that probably we're going to upload a couple of how-to. So
great, yes.
1 or 2 tutorials on how to use Screencast-O-Matic, how to use QuickTime Player, and they're going to be in the folder that it's going to be available for everybody. So you can use it. Because I think it's easy, it's great.
And also, as Reese said, every one of these programs has its own web source with resources as well. So there are a lot of places to go if you are intimidated or scared. There's a lot of things you can do to help feel more comfortable. I think that's all. Oh, also, this was a screencast of a video, but we were not able to hear the students. But when you watch it, not through Mentimeter, but through your own computer, you will be able to hear her students' presentation, the part that she was giving the feedback on. A few caveats there. So.
Great. So we can go into the steps?
Yeah. So you hopefully were able to take notes and write down steps. So somebody wrote download the app, use the correct app, yes. Use record my desktop, download the program, yes. Download, sign in, follow instructions, make the video, yeah.
Somebody's sharing a link over there also.
Oh, great.
Free screencast tools.
Yes, free screencast tools.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Like I said, this is not a Snagit commercial. It's just the one that we prefer to use. You can use whatever you want, obviously.
Great.
Yeah.
Move on?
Yes. So in general, if you use Snagit or Screencast-O-Matic or Jing or QuickTime Player, you will have to download some software onto your computer. And then, of course, you have to decide what you want to make the screencast of. Do you want to make a screencast of a video, like Jonnathan did, or do you want to make a screencast of a document like Shirley did? It's totally up to you. Then, as Reese explained, you have to set your parameters using those little crosshairs. One thing I do want to caution you is make sure not to include any private information on your computer screen that you don't want people to see. Or do not include that in the parameters. So this is something we have learned from experience, so I'd like to pass it on to you. So once you've set your parameters, you hit record, you talk and do whatever it is you want to do, give the feedback that you want to give, and then you save the Snagit or save the screencast, and then you share it via email, Google Drive, YouTube, WhatsApp, anything that you can share an MP4. Did I miss anything? Okay, so here are a couple of advantages that we noticed and are using screencasts. So first of all, it goes back to the multimodal feedback. So combining the visual with the voice, it's better for English language learners to receive this multimodal feedback because they are going to be improving not only their reading, but also their listening comprehension. And as you know, a language has 4 major skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And if you can help your students by giving them feedback in multiple ways, then they can improve in multiple ways. The second one is it has face value for students. And what this means is our students are mostly digital natives. Even our primary students who may not use technology every day know what technology is, and they like it, and they have access to it many times. Maybe not all the time, but often. And so students often prefer to receive a screencast rather than read your feedback on a piece of paper. So they appreciate the work that you do. It creates a sense of rapport and support. Again, you don't have time to meet with your students most likely one-on-one, but you could take a few minutes and give them some individualized feedback via screencast at your own time whenever you have time to do it. And they feel special, and they feel supported, and they feel like you are giving them feedback that's useful for them. We also noticed it lets us focus on individual student grammar issues. Not every student makes the same errors. And this is a good way to help those students who commit their own errors, draw their attention to them. And then, of course, less paper wasted. We're saving trees. And this is important not only for our environment, but also because in my experience, and maybe others can comment, I often spent a lot of time writing comments for students, and the students only looked at the number grade on the paper, and they did not read my comments. And that was very disheartening to me, and I felt like I wasted a lot of my time. And when I made a screencast of the students' papers, they wouldn't have the grade until they watched the end of the video. And so they had to watch the whole video and get all of the feedback before they could receive the grade. So, and they realized how much time and effort I spend on their comments, and they really appreciated that. Oral feedback can help students improve their listening skills. This is part of the multimodal aspect, and they can listen to it over and over. Students sometimes will read the feedback or not read the feedback on paper, and they'll go home and they'll try to revise or fix an error, and they don't know what to do. And if they have a video of you explaining it to them, then they can watch the video or listen to the screencast over and over until they can understand what they want to do. And for many people, maybe not all, it was a big time saver. For me especially, it was a big time saver because it's much easier for me to talk than it is for me to write stuff down. And my handwriting is horrible. So that was another thing that I noticed. My students could understand me much better when I was talking. And I actually was a lot nicer in my talking than I was in my writing. I gave a lot more positive feedback to my students. Other advantages that anybody who's can think of?
Well, we got one here.
Oh, here we have other advantages. Yay.
What advantages do you all think screencasting could have for you in your work? Not use paper, yeah.
Confidence is very important.
Yes. So this one is interesting. I can become aware as a teacher of my comments. because when you play your own video and you hear your own voice, you notice more of what you're saying. And that, I agree with this person. When I listened to my comments, I felt like I was a much nicer and more positive person in the screencast than I was on paper. And it did help me become more aware of the kind of feedback I was giving to my students.
I think also you realize in my case I was very aware. I want to give feedback on things Gabriel needs to improve, but I also want to tell him what he did right.
Yes.
And many times we don't like feedback because we've been used to a feedback that is mostly negative feedback or criticism. Yeah. And so looking at both sides, it's really important.
And someone mentioned that it's private. I think that's also really important. Nobody can take that video, you can snatch a piece of paper out of a student's hand and see their grade, but it's much more difficult to do that with the video.
The interaction with parents and kids. I mean, kids feel, oh, the teacher is paying attention to what I said. And then it's like I'm very important for the teacher, right?
Yeah. Students love technology.
Yes.
Yeah, they will love to watch the video over and over again. And that will help them to improve and correct the mistakes.
Yeah.
You have the disadvantages? Yeah. All right. Thank you for all those other advantages. Yeah. That is beautiful and amazing. Now we're going to think about why it doesn't work. What makes it hard?
So, even though we're all teachers and we're very intelligent people, learning technology is sometimes challenging. We are not, at least I am not a natural techno person, and it was not easy for me, but I was motivated to learn how to do it because I thought it was going to make my life better and my life easier. So, yes, learning something new is challenging sometimes. We often, in our world, don't always have good internet speed, and we have technology issues, and we need, again, patience and flexibility to deal with these issues. So poor internet speed can make uploading and sharing difficult, and then again, for me, it saved a lot of time, but for other people, it maybe won't save time. If you have 100 students or 30 students in each class, maybe you don't have time to make 30 little videos for them, but maybe for this assignment you can make 5 videos, and then for the next assignment choose 5 different students and give those students a video, and maybe for the next, so you can spread it out over time. I always believe that teachers know their own context the best and can make their own best decisions on how to use their own time.
So what do y'all think? What other disadvantages can you come up with?
Equipment, yes. More internet.
Regarding poor internet signal, something important is that you don't, once you have the program installed in your computer, you don't need internet to create the screencast. Only to share it or upload it. But also, there are many different tools that can help you lower the, to make videos lighter.
Right.
And you can share them via WhatsApp.
Right. And also, if you are choosing what you want to make the video of, when you see the crosshairs, the smaller the space you record, the smaller the size of the MP4. Someone did say it's not free, and I do want to address that. It is free, just not Snagit. Snagit is free for 2 weeks, but the other technologies, Jing and Screencast-O-Matic and QuickTime, they are free. So those of you who are thinking it is not free, I want to tell you, surprise, it is free. And you can definitely access those free programs for free. And we have a list of them in the resources.
I want to address this one that says teachers try new tools. I think it's just we are afraid sometimes of using new things. Whenever I talk to teachers about technology, because I personally love technology, and whenever I've given workshops on technology, I tell teachers we need to start little by little. So once there is a tool you like, use it, try it, and once you feel comfortable, go and do it with your students. So kind of start little by little. Don't try to do something big because you might get disappointed.
Yeah.
So it's normal to be afraid.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that we have to remember that we are language teachers, and I think that technology is as well a competence that requires a lot of practice. We can read a lot or see a lot of tutorials about how to use a tool, but if we do not apply it, if we don't try to explore it, it's very hard that we really become proficient in the use of technology. So we also know that though we might think that it's time consuming, if you become very efficient in the use of some tools, it can become then something that can even make you save time. So my recommendation in this case is to give it a try. Maybe if you consider that you cannot use it for feedback, you can try to use it for other purposes. For example, I'm thinking about videotaping a presentation or something. So instead of giving it in person, maybe you can create a video where you explain something in a let's say that you are talking about animals and you have some animals in your backyard, or you went to a place where there are many and you create a video. I think that would be more interesting for students than if we just provide flashcards or something. And now with a cell phone, with this thing that we have here, we can do so much. It's so easy to make a video now. So I think students can have a lot of fun because they love technology and they have access to it. And I'm sure that even if you show them how to explore Screencasting, for example, I'm sure that they can also create their own videos. Maybe they can also do peer assessment. Maybe they can provide feedback to their peers using the tool. And so I think that you should definitely think about ways in which students, learners can have fun and can really learn English using this type of tools, because this is the way the world is working right now. And maybe if we are not so skilled, I'm sure that the children, and I'm sure that young people are. So let's really try it in your classrooms in order to incorporate this in learning, because it can enhance learning if we know how to use it.
Somebody mentioned there the difference between rural and city schools. I must say that in my school, I mean, the school I work is South San Jose, a very poor area, children that come from very difficult socioeconomical communities. And so I don't think that's such a big difference between that one and the one in a rural area. And also in terms of money, like downloading a video from WhatsApp, if you find a tool, like this video I created from Gabriel, that was, I think it was like 9 megabytes at the end, but once I made it lighter. So that means like 10 colones when you download it into your phone. It's not that expensive. I know it takes some time and we can use it for different purposes, but let's give it a try.
We had one question from one of you all asking about if we could see, if we knew which person was writing which question. And we want to let you know that we can know where you're from, but we don't actually have your names. We didn't ask for your names at the beginning of this, so we don't know your names of who's writing which question. But we can see where you're from, what regional you're from, because we did ask you the area that you're from. But mostly we're really enjoying how you're engaging with us and really appreciate your directness and your thoughtfulness in your comments and your questions. Okay, so we're going to move on. Some other uses for screencasts, which we already actually talked about. So let's look at this example. Is that right?
Jonnathan, you want to tell about this?
Yeah, so I've always believed in this. Sam said before, I've always believed in parents being actually involved in learners learning. And one of the things I get complaints all the time, it's like, oh, homework assignments are in English, exam topics are, a lot of things are in English, I don't know English, even though we explain to students and they already know what to do. So once I learned to use this tool, I decided to create a screencast, and this one is with Screencast-O-Matic, and basically explaining parents what the homework is about and what to look at and how they can help children once they are studying in the future. In this case, we were working with letters F and G and also parts of the body. So it's explaining a little bit to parents, so we can actually watch the video.
Hola papás, en esta ocasión voy a hablarles un poquito de la primera tarea que tienen sus hijos para que ustedes puedan, ver qué es lo que tienen que hacer, cómo tienen que hacerlo más o menos y que puedan ayudarles en casa. También para que algunas de las cosas que hagan ahorita les puedan servir a la hora de estudiar para el examen que viene pronto. Entonces, básicamente en la tarea ustedes van a ver por acá la parte que dice due date, ¿verdad? Esta parte es básicamente la fecha en la que los chicos van a tener que entregar la tarea. Para cada sección pues hay una fecha diferente por el tiempo de clases. Luego ya los chicos saben muchas de las cosas, entonces student name and section, ahí va el nombre y la sección. ¿Y qué es lo que tienen que hacer? Ellos tienen dos actividades. Entonces la primera actividad tenemos que lo que necesitan es reconocer la parte escrita con la parte visual, ¿verdad? Entonces ellos tienen que unir, por ejemplo, la palabra arm. En una de estas imágenes deben buscar cuál es la palabra arm y unir el círculo de la palabra arm con el círculo del dibujo. En la segunda parte, ellos lo que tienen que hacer es identificar las palabras que empiezan, en este caso con las letras F and G, ¿verdad? Entonces, para cuando ustedes les ayuden a los chicos, F, G. Entonces, ellos tienen que ver la imagen y esa imagen les va a ayudar a completar la palabra, ¿verdad? Si es F o G. Entonces, aquí ustedes inclusive pueden practicar con ellos si, por ejemplo, esta primera palabra se dice forilla o gorilla. Y entonces, ellos ya escriben la palabra o la letra que hace falta. Y finalmente, esta parte de abajo, eso ustedes no tienen que preocuparse, esto es cómo yo los voy a evaluar. Entonces aquí ustedes pueden ver los dos objetivos, ¿verdad? El de la primera y la segunda parte, y los voy a evaluar de 1 a 4, 1 siendo que no hay nada de respuesta, y número 4 es que es ejemplar, que lo hizo súper bien, que no hay ningún error. Entonces eso es básicamente la tarea. Cualquier cosita me pueden consultar también y con gusto estamos hablando.
So I decided to do this one because I've noticed that teachers, we have many different ways to communicate with parents. WhatsApp groups, Facebook pages, Facebook groups, many different ways. And we can actually share this with parents. I know not every parent in my community has internet access, but it can benefit many parents. And from one to one, they are sharing like, oh, I don't know what the homework was about. Oh, I watched the video and I can explain to you, so they can help each other. And at the same time, they're learning some basic concepts they can use when studying with children for the exam later on.
And I think a video like this is especially useful if you tend to give the same assignments over and over, or the same tasks. And now that you're doing a new curriculum, if you take some time to make a couple of videos for the most important tasks, you can use them next year and next year and next year and share them over and over with whomever you want to share them with.
So I think we are almost in time for questions.
Okay.
From me.
We do have one example, one short example. Can we show that?
And we have advice and best practice.
Do you want to talk about that? Was this? Shirley?
This was Ileana's video.
Oh, okay. Do you want to share, or do you feel like we should move on?
No, let's show it.
Okay. Okay, so let's show the video.
So this is a video of a teacher, Ileana, giving feedback to a student who gave an oral presentation, but it's not a video. It is a sound, a voice recording.
Hello, I am going to give you some feedback for the individual oral you had to prepare. First, you had to select one of the 5 options, your favorite one. So you decided that you wanted to talk about science and technology, and there you have on the screen the picture that you chose. And based on the picture, you have to write a caption. Let's read your caption. It says, many parents in the United States let technology raise and entertain their children when that are at work. So here we have a mistake in this word. You should change the word that into they, okay? And here we have a second mistake. It is better to use the word while here instead of when, so that we can read in the caption this. Many parents in the United States let technology raise and entertain their children while they are at work. So remember that the word they makes reference to many parents. Okay? So that was the first part of your task, to select the picture based on your favorite option and then create a caption. And your second task was to record 4 minutes based on the structure that I gave you. You have to mention an English-speaking country, which is the United States. So in the recording, you should mention this. And you have to mention also the option of science and technology. So let's listen to the recording, and I will stop it in order to give you some recommendation or feedback.
Good morning, teacher and classmates. Today I am present my individual oral. First, I am describe my picture. In my picture, you can see 2 kids. One is a girl and one is a boy. And well, the girl is very sad, but the boy is...
Okay, so a couple of things I would like to point out in this video. Again, it is a teacher making a screencast of a document. So you can see her typing in the document. And then you could see at the bottom, or hopefully you did see, she had a WhatsApp voice recording of her student that she played, and she was taking notes in the document of her student's errors as the student was making them. So she didn't have to stop the recording, she could just take notes and listen, and probably save herself a little bit of time that way.
Yeah. Okay. So, we've done that.
So really quickly, I just want to go over a couple of pieces of advice and best practices if you choose to venture into this new world of screencasts. So try not to spend more time on a screencast than you would writing feedback. You don't want to overload your students with feedback. And if you have access to a computer lab, it's nice to give students time in class to watch the screencast so you can be there while they're watching to answer questions. Also, uploading to YouTube is free and it doesn't take up any space on your phone or computer.
Would you like to add in any other suggestions or advice? We're going to move to questions right now, but if anybody wants to add anything, and they can very quickly.
No, Jonnathan and Shirley, do you want to add?
No. Okay. None.
We haven't tried it yet, so we don't have any advice yet.
Exactly. Okay, questions and comments. Now I know we have 2 questions that we can go to. Let's go to Peninsular first. You can write your questions or comments in here, and we're going to take them orally. So we'll go with the first one. Peninsular? I don't know how to, can they speak to us?
Yeah, they can.
All right, Peninsular. question?
I don't even know. Oh, is that the...
Okay, well, how about Perez Cedrón?
Perez Cedrón. I want to know the names of the free.
Right, so the free program...
Perez is... Perez. Perez Cedrón.
Hola, buenas.
With community?
Okay, Perez.
Okay.
Perez. It's Perez.
No, Perez.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so what we want to comment, we as a team, we would like to say that it is a great tool, and if we have internet, it would be great. But what we consider is that, well, in our case, the internet is not like so fast. And in my personal case, I don't have internet in my school. Yeah. So another comment that I want to say is that it is a great tool when we have just like 10, I will say like 10 students in my class. Because if we count, like we have 30 students in primary, let's say first graders. I have 30 students in second grade, and I have the same one in fourth grade and fifth grade and sixth grade. So we will count like 200 students. So let's imagine to do this with each student. So I think that it is a great tool. I would like to do it. But the disadvantages are more than the advantages in our real situation because of the conditions, right?
I had as many students as you have. I probably would not make an individual screencast for every student. I would probably make one for maybe the class if I noticed a couple of things that this class was doing that I could give feedback on. Or if I could give them instructions on something. You're right, I probably wouldn't use it for every single assignment for every student. As far as your internet connectivity goes, that is unfortunate that you don't have good internet at your school right now. Maybe sometime in the future, in the very near future that you will. So maybe we can write some grants for technology. Maybe that's the next webinar, writing grants for technology in our schools.
And I wanted to add to that no internet access in different parts. Depending on what you're planning to do, you don't necessarily need internet access.
Right.
Actually, I would be glad to share with you an example. I'm going to send it to Mary so you can upload it also in the materials. Of a screencast, I did a video for my students. I created at home. I don't need internet access. I put it in a flash drive, and then I present it in the school, either in a flat screen TV or with a projector, whatever, or even my computer, and they can watch it. No internet required, depending on how you plan to use it.
Right. There's usually a way to work around things if you want to work around them, and if you are clever enough, like Jonnathan is, to figure out how to do it.
And even I want to add that, as I said before, for learning accommodations, sometimes you have 1 or 2 students or 3 students that really need a very close follow-up or a lot of support. So you can create one screencast, one video with feedback, with recordings that can help that student. Or as Jonnathan showed, you can do it for informing parents about a test or what the students will experience on a test, how an interview will be carried out. So it's just one video that you are creating, and then you give them the chance, the ones who have the internet access or have a cell phone with internet, to have that information through a video, which is easier, easier to understand because you are seeing it.
I think another question there was what happens with children that don't have internet at home. And I think we cannot kind of say I'm not going to use technology because some children might not have technology. I think we can have a balance between both. I mean, internet is not going to be required, so I'm not going to do the homework only online. because I know some students don't have internet.
Exactly.
But for those who do, I can help them a
Exactly.
little extra, and they can help other students
And you
too.
can have both ways, that's right.
Exactly.
I want to mention that while we're doing these questions and answers, I'm going to be putting the slides up for feedback. So we have 46 people that have started the feedback slide. If you all could also look at your phones and offer the feedback there, that would be really great. And we're going to move to Pérez Elizondo.
Hi. Hello. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. I just want to share one way we can use a Screencast-O-Matic. When we have classes with the kids and they need to learn vocabulary, maybe we can use, well, that's what I used last week. I created a PowerPoint presentation with some words. We were studying global warming. So we were searching for the most important vocabulary and grammar and, nouns, adjectives, and verbs that they had to learn. And then we recorded the pronunciation and using the Screenmatic. So we recorded the presentation, and then using Movie Maker, we added the pronunciation, and we created a video, and then send them to them by using WhatsApp. And they were studying the vocabulary, and they did well during the oral presentation. So just one activity that we can use. I know that it's very difficult because sometimes we don't have Wi-Fi connection, but the tool is there, and maybe we can just try to figure out ways and we can help the students to reach the goal.
I think that I need to learn a lot from you. That sounds like an amazing project that you did. And your students are very lucky. I feel like your students are so lucky to have you as their teacher.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting what she mentioned about the skills. Maybe we don't have the skills at the beginning, but we can develop them. And I think it's necessary. We all were born before technology, I think. And so
some of
we
us
need
more
to develop
before
it.
than others,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to try new things, especially when you feel stressed out and overwhelmed with the amount of work that you're already doing, with the amount of students you already have, with the level of support and technology that you already have. I understand that can be very overwhelming. Our job is to just present you with options, and hopefully some of those options will appeal to you to help make your life better if possible.
Okay. Great. There were a few more questions here. I don't know, or comments. Maybe we can take a look at that. Does anybody else have any questions or comments out there? In Turrialba, in Cartago?
They are asking if tomorrow they are going to be using Mentimeter.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Using Mentimeter
Yes,
again
we
tomorrow.
will use Mentimeter tomorrow and Thursday.
And on Thursday, we need people to bring paper because they're going to be doing some writing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
We're
tomorrow-
trying to be as interactive as possible to help everyone, stay awake and enjoy their experience with us.
Okay, let's switch back to the Mentimeter. We have a couple more feedback questions to ask. So if you guys would take a little bit of time for feedback, and then we can do any more questions and answers. So I did ask this. We've got 76 responses, which is a little low because it looked like we had about 200 and something people answering. So if anybody else can answer on this one, that would be great. 80. And then we're going to go on. If you all want to go ahead on the slides, you can. I just opened it up so that you can move forward. There's more feedback slides there. So have a look. I'm going to wait till we get to 100 and then I'll move forward. How about that? I want 100. And actually, they can do it on their own now, too. So the next one is, what other support would you like in terms of your own learning to use screencasts?
Yeah, maybe they would appreciate a training in their school, or someone to come and help them out with the first screencast.
I think also we can use, as well. In some parts, internet connection is not very good,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But whenever I see a new tool, I go to YouTube.
Yes.
And I type screencast tutorials, and I get thousands of results and videos that are short, videos that are long, about many different ways.
Yeah. I also want to comment really quickly about how this is the kind of thing that can really grow. So I learned about screencasts at a conference. I saw not even the entire presentation, just the last 10 minutes of the presentation. And I thought, I really want to learn how to do this. And I went back home to my school and nobody knew about it. And I called up the technology person who was assigned to my group of faculty, and I said, this is what I want to do, can you help me? I was not afraid to ask for help. And this guy helped me make a screencast, and then I made a bunch of them, and I showed them.
Can I interrupt for a second? I can see in the video some people having conversations, and I appreciate that. We have a couple more feedback slides, so if you could encourage each other to fill that feedback out, we would really appreciate it. And I think we will be finishing up in just a minute or two.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Sam.
So I think it just takes maybe one person who's really interested to show other people the potential. And after everyone saw that I was doing this cool new thing, they wanted to learn how to do it. And we ended up training our whole group of faculty how to do it. And we actually liked Screencast or Snagit so much that our bosses bought it for us. We were so persuasive and so please, please, please. Now I don't know that can happen with you, but I wouldn't underestimate the power of a group of motivated teachers who want to get something done.
So we would love you guys to fill out the feedback. I feel like I'm a commercial for the feedback here. We've got 6 people that have filled it out.
Before we were commenting, before this webinar, how we Costa Ricans have the need to have materials that are adapted to our context that we cannot find online. Right. So a tool like Screencast would be great. I can create a short video about, I don't know, the holidays and celebrations, somebody else about Full Tale, somebody else, and then we can start sharing them and using them without having the need to like send them to students' WhatsApp, or we can use them in the classroom, and we create materials that are based on our context and our reality, right?
On your hometown even. I mean, you can, there are a lot of possibilities. Our job is just to show you the different options that you have. You know what would work best for you in your context.
I think we teachers are super creative. So we can come up with so many different uses for just one tool.
Yeah.
Oh, Anna, what do you think?
Well, we are encouraging, sorry, I'm so sorry. We are motivating you to please help us with your feedback.
Yeah, we only have 10 people who've given feedback here. We're just, let me tell you a little bit about why we need your feedback. Because one is we need to know if this is useful for you and if we should do this kind of thing again, and what else we would do with it. We also need to give the feedback to the stakeholders and to the people that paid for this. So if I go back to the U.S. Embassy and say 10 people gave us feedback at the end when we had 250 people there, that's not a really good statistic. So now I'm really worried because I see you guys on the video, but I don't really see you.
Maybe they're all trying to charge their phones.
Yeah, is there some message you need help with something? Is something missing? Help me understand. I wonder if it got demotivated because they didn't see us so much and they saw just the mentimeter.
It could be, or maybe, I don't know, they just log out.
But we can still see them.
We can still see them, they're there.
But maybe they can't hear us.
They can.
Maybe we have refresh, Mary. Maybe.
I don't know that there's a.
Let's change it a little bit. We're at 13.
I'll refresh it.
14.
We are getting the numbers now.
What else would you like us to know about this one?
While you are providing the feedback, I have an announcement to make for tomorrow. The people who are going to have the next session, which is about pronunciation, we are going to have the sessions at Centros de Formación only. There are 27 Centros de Formación. If any of you have booked the salas de videoconferencias, they are telling me that those salas de videoconferencias are not going to be available for tomorrow. So please make arrangements so that all the teachers who are participating in tomorrow's session are showing up or attending the Centros de Formación, please, for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And tomorrow we will have a very, very nice presentation, and I think it's a topic that Samantha also likes very much, that it's on pronunciation. So we are going to be dealing with phonemic awareness, phonological competence, and how to teach pronunciation to our students. So we also are recommending you to be, as today, punctual and very active, and also to sign your attendance so that we can also have that record.
So we did hear from you guys that there was a little glitch maybe when we changed something, that you got lost in the place, and we had to find yourself again into this the Mentimeter application. Just to let you know, these slides are up here. They're not going to leave. So if you want to come back later on and add something else in, we'll leave it open now. So if you can't finish it up right now, you can certainly finish it up later on. What I did in this Mentimeter, you can have two different ways. One is that we control what you see. Another is you go through at your own pace. And I changed it so you could go through at your own pace. So that might have made it difficult, so I apologize. But now you can go through at your own pace. And if you can't finish it now, please come back and finish it. Your feedback is really, really important to us. We are also we've asked if there's something else you'd like to know in regards to this webinar. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. Keep up the good work.
Sorry. I think it's not necessarily negativity about the topic. It's just something new, something we need to explore, something we don't feel confident with. So it's very normal to feel sometimes like, oh, I think this is too much for me. I think it's normal.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I also think the comment about reality being different from what you think, I'm not sure which you you're addressing, because there's a bunch of different yous here. So there's people who are national advisors, and we also have teachers, and then Sam and I are both outside consultants. But I'm somebody who has traveled all over Costa Rica and worked with everyone. Lots of Costa Rican teachers. I would say at least 1,000, 1,500, or I don't know, a lot, a lot. So I know that, and speaking from my own experience, I know that it might be difficult to envision doing screencasts with your students and in your busy life right now. What I would ask is that you consider it being a possibility in the future. And you never know, just trying one little step can be a springboard for a lot more. I think it's something that you actually have to do. And one of the things that makes these kinds of presentations boring for some people is that you're actually not doing it right now, right? And if you were doing it, I definitely think that it changes the level of engagement. But we have two teachers here who are have used it, and they've in their context, and they are not in exclusive, expensive, fancy worlds. They're your hardcore MEP teachers, and they've used it. So that gives me a lot of inspiration and hope, for sure. And the negativity is okay. I think we need to talk about it. And we have to understand that not everybody is going to like everything. You know, we appreciate you coming and spending some time with us today.
And I think we, as we said before, we're going to work for having like maybe a very short, concrete video in our resources on how to use this tool on different with different tools, right?
Right.
Not only Snagit. so people can actually see how it works and try it out.
Yeah. So. Okay, let's go back to our. Well, I'm going to show you this slide for just a minute and show you that we have. There's a. You have this slide on your Mentimeter on your phones. So it has a link, and it would take you to this folder that has all the resources for all 3 webinars. So today was screencasting. If you were to go into that, you will see sample videos. Jonnathan uploaded the consent form, some other references, and also a handout from today. So you can find all of this in an open folder right here. It's bit.ly 2018 MEP CEM U.S. Embassy webinar resources. So let's shift to our faces so we can at least say goodbye face to face. So I also forgot to mention that there is also, you'll see on your Mentimeter, you also have all of our emails. So if you want to reach any of us, we are reachable, and we're excited to hear from you and learn from you. I think we need to learn how to look at the camera.
Yeah.
I think that's been a little off. So thank you all. As from Mary Scholl, I really appreciated this time, and I really appreciate Anna doing all of this hard work. I appreciate Shirley and Jonnathan and Eliana and the other teacher creating materials for us. Francisco, right? And of course to Samantha for joining us as well.
It's been a pleasure.
So I want to say as well, thank you for your presence, your participation, your comments, which are very, very valuable for us. We know that we are in a process of change. Technology is one challenge that we have to incorporate, to integrate it into the classroom, in our new English curriculum, and as a 21st century skill for us and children. I think it's a key element of this new curriculum. So we hope that this is a new option that you have, a new tool for you to explore, not only from the perspective that was presented here, but you can creatively incorporate others. And we also know that the contexts in Costa Rica differ, but at least you know what is going on, these options, and maybe you can try it, if you have the opportunity and the equipment that you need. So we hope to see you tomorrow. Remember what I said before about Centros de Formación. All the workshop will be delivered through those Centros de Formación. I hope that at the regional level you make the adjustments. And thank you so very much. Yaudy?
I just would like to say thank you, and I hope that you enjoy and you learn a lot today.
Shirley?
Thank you. It was very nice. It was great sharing all this information, and hope to see you tomorrow.
So goodbye. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye. Well, I just want to say thank you for the great work. I'm an English teacher as well. I work with 28, 30 students in a classroom, and I think it's difficult sometimes, but it's possible. It's just a matter of working different ways. And so I think Shirley and I are here just to show that this is not anything that it's just impossible, that we as teachers can do it. And I hope to see you tomorrow too.
Samantha? Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to hear more follow-up and feedback, and my email is on the slide, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
So see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you can see that we are doing collaborative work here.
Yes.
So I think that's another 21st century skill, right?
Yes.
Working together.
Yes.
We do it better. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.